Practicing medicine without insurance is possible. Imagine a private practice where you get to see your best patients every day, providing medical services you truly enjoy, all without the hassle of insurance. My name is Dr. T. Nguyen, and I'm a recovering specialist who was completely burned out from insurance-based medicine. I pivoted into direct care, where patients pay me directly for my medical services and have never looked back. If you're a private practice owner or planning to become one who's looking to be free of the grind of insurance and you're craving simplicity, efficiency, and connection with patients, you are in the right place. This podcast will help you map out your exit plan and uncover the mindset needed to thrive in today's economy. Welcome to the Direct Care Podcast for Specialists.
What exactly do we need to know to run a direct specialty care practice? I'll tell you, this is going to be Business Education 101 or business basics, the stuff that you don't learn in medical training. And it's never too late to learn more. So there are a lot of parts to running a business. And I bet you maybe one time in your life you yourself felt or have heard people who were really turned off with the idea of managing a business as a doctor. Like they simply wanted to just be the doctor and abdicate the rest of the business building to somebody else. Unfortunately, that's exactly why we are in this current predicament in the healthcare space. Insurance companies have promised doctors that they can simply be the doctor while they take care of everything else, including patient acquisition, support care, and so on. But then we suddenly found ourselves on a slippery slope of losing control and being asked to do more and more with less resources. So it's important to know the business basics before you dive into having your own business as a direct care doctor. And I'm going to share with you the top 7 things to know as a business owner in order to have a successful direct specialty care practice that's thriving in profits and gives you a life that you've worked so hard for. One that is not full of a to-do list or a checklist to do, but actually one that's in alignment with the work you truly love doing and you get paid for. So here it goes. In no particular order except the first one is the first one. Number 1 is to have emotional intelligence. What is that? Emotional intelligence or resilience is your ability to manage your current situation no matter how much stress you're under. It's being able to manage your energy and thoughtfully managing your time. So when things come up and it's a challenge for you, how do you navigate that challenge? In the beginning of business ownership, it's probably going to be really hard to pick yourself back up from a letdown. And that's only because you don't have a lot of experience in managing that. And don't let that beat you up, and don't let those perceived failures define you as a person. It's just an opportunity to learn how to manage it better, faster next time around. And trust me, in business, you will be constantly solving problems. The problems do not go away. In fact, they will continue to compound and you just get better at solving it. So the best way to move forward is to develop this emotional intelligence where you clearly understand the things that you can control versus the things that you cannot, and reframing the situation as a learning opportunity rather than allowing it to define you as a person, as a doctor. This is probably one of the most difficult lessons I had to learn on my own, because in residency and in fellowship, we were often defined by the work that we did. We were not allowed to make a whole lot of mistakes because that can mean the difference of harming a patient and not. And so it's understandable that a lot of doctors oftentimes lead with the idea that perfectionism is everything. But when it comes to business, making mistakes is actually the lessons you need to learn and to bounce back from quickly. So that's where medicine and business have to morph into something bigger. Yes, you have to do great things in medicine, but in business building, totally different ballgame. You learn from your mistakes. Sometimes your mistakes are costly, but hopefully you find the right mentor to help you get there faster instead of making the same mistakes that we have all made. Trust me, all of us business owners have probably made the same mistakes, but now we have a lot more resources at our fingertips to learn from others, including books, podcasts, and coaching programs like mine. So emotional intelligence, high up there. Not only will this serve you in your business, but it will definitely improve your personal life and your relationships with others. The second thing I would prioritize is understanding your numbers. This is the financial management and understanding profit and loss. This is budgeting. So knowing how much you need to spend, how much you anticipate in getting in revenue, and staying on top of those metrics. Because if something isn't lining up, we have to be able to know exactly where to dial it down. Are we spending too much? Are we not getting enough revenue? Do we need to acquire more patients? Do we need to raise our prices? All of those things. So understanding your profit and loss would be number 2. This is something that if you were employed, you probably never really looked at. But if you look at your personal finances, you probably had a good understanding as to what your budget looks like if you're working with a limited number of dollars and you know you only have that number of dollars for a certain amount of days before it depletes and then you get your next paycheck or something like that. So budgeting is going to be a high level skill that you absolutely need to have control of in order to have good cash flow, and then being able to pay yourself and reinvesting back into the business. The third most important thing is marketing and patient acquisition. How on earth are people going to find you? And how are they going to stick around if they already have insurance and they have insurance options? So this is a core part of my teaching in how to acquire patients, how to keep them, and how to market in a way that's effective and attracts the right person. You are not for everybody. That is the biggest mistake that you can make as a business owner, in believing that your practice is for everybody. When you message yourself in that way, then the right people don't think you're talking to them. And if people don't think you're talking to them because it's not specific enough, then you really don't get a lot of traction. So making sure that you have the right patient avatar, the right messaging, the right services at the right price point is everything that you need to know on how to develop your direct specialty care practice. And this is way different than being employed. It's different from running with insurance. It is the bloodline to all businesses, acquiring patients, keeping them, and having them spend their dollars on you. And in return, we give them an excellent result, better than what their alternative options would be. And that's all within marketing. And of course, producing what you promise. Number 4 is customer service and patient experience. What's the point of acquiring a patient if they have a terrible time navigating your online portal or your receptionist or any other way that they need to come in? Customer service and patient experience is absolutely up there in terms of what you need to know to build your practice. If the patient has a complaint about your practices, how do you manage that? This goes back to number 1, developing your emotional intelligence. Are you going to take an opportunity to learn? Or do you stay butthurt and never move forward and say, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm a terrible doctor, and I guess I have to close my practice? I certainly hope that is not you. But this takes time to build that layer of skin, that emotional intelligence that you absolutely need to move forward, because guess what? Business is a numbers game. You're going to be able to help a lot of people, and there's going to be a few people who's going to teach you a lesson, who's going to provide you with opportunities to improve your systems. So whatever the patients are experiencing, utilize that as feedback to either improve or change something that has to be changed. People don't realize this, but medicine, doctors, what we do is a customer service type of business. We really have to connect with people for them to trust us and like us enough to exchange dollars for our service. And I like to say that if you don't like people and you know that people don't particularly favor you, then maybe don't run your own business. And that's totally okay. There are some people who are fit to be employees, and there are others who desperately want to build this business and give excellent customer service. And then there are some of us who just need to learn a little bit more about what that looks like, what that means. So building a practice really needs to be centered on the patient's experience and how you deliver those customer service. This doesn't necessarily mean to be available 24/7. It doesn't mean to kiss their ass day and night. It just means you set the expectations and you provide stellar care. Number 5, when you're ready to expand, delegate, and hire, this is where you really put on the hat of a leader and have staff management. So a leader is a person who directs people towards a common goal. It's not telling people what to do and expecting them to read your mind and producing the results. You actually have to guide them as to what that looks like. What is the end goal? What does it mean when something doesn't work out? What do we do from here? What if we fail? What if we need to sidetrack? What if we have to pivot? All of those things. You are helping your team go towards the same direction. And sometimes that's staff management. That's about hiring the right fit for your practice. Because sometimes if you don't have the right hire, or if you don't have the right expectations, or if you don't give them the tools to succeed, then you might be tugging back and forth in resistance. They're not with you on the same mission. So being a good leader also offers you the ability to build your team, also being part of managing your staff. Number 6 is focused on the operations of the practice. And that includes other legal compliance like OSHA, HIPAA, the technical things that you need to have within your business and any other business you decide to set up. So understanding the verbiage, the requirements, the legal stuff that you need is something that you eventually have to learn, and you can reach out to your local resources for that, like small business associations, to get more details about what your legal requirements are to run your business. And the last thing I'll share is data analytics and performance. A business is not a good business until you have numbers that you can measure and track. Numbers tell you where you need to focus your attention. If your revenue is not meeting your goals, where do you need to focus? Having data will help you direct your attention. Is it patient acquisition? Is it the price point? Is it the service that you're offering? Numbers can tell you what's working and what's not working. Simply having numbers on its own through your P&L is not enough. We really need to be able to measure the performance of what's producing that outcome. So if it's the number of new patients that is producing your revenue, then wouldn't it make sense to pour into a marketing strategy that increases that patient acquisition? Or alternatively, wouldn't it make sense to increase your patient loyalty to spend more on you so that they can get to their end solution or have their medical issues managed in a more efficient way and then continue to spend with you? So of course, our business isn't intended to solely make money. We actually have to be solving problems, and we have to be exceptionally good in doing so. Otherwise, how do we stand out with alternatives, right? Like insurance alternatives. So this framework is really going to help you hone in on the core essentials of business ownership. And to be frank, this took me a long time to get here, to understand those different components of building the practice. Maybe you already know some of this inherently. It just came naturally to you that you get from one step to the next. You start your practice, you're like, okay, my brain needs to be in this, my money needs to be in this, I need to start building my team, I need to start being a better leader, I better have some operational manuals to help my staff be on the same page, and so on. You know this in some capacity, but you now have something to focus on, the framework that helps you get very clear on the areas that you need to focus on. It really doesn't make sense to focus everything on marketing and leave no room to understand your data. Because all of that money that's being spent, if you don't know what your return on investment is, how can you control for the revenue that's coming in or the money that's leaving? That's how all of this applies to one another. So you can't learn these things in isolation. It's the individual parts that creates the whole, right? The sum of its whole. It's like the little cells in our body. All of it collectively together creates a human. So all of these different ideas come together to create a successful business. If this is the type of coaching that you would love to have right by your side, you don't want to do it alone, you want to do this with a community that gets you, take advantage of the membership that I'm offering right now. This is the Launch Your Direct Specialty Care course in 12 weeks, and I've added a community membership, which is a lot like a forum where you would go and ask your questions to get them answered. It's kind of hard to do that when you're on a public forum, an unpaid forum like Facebook, because people all have their opinions. But in my private group, you're going to be guided with specificity so that you don't get lost in the distractions of people's opinions on this and that. You're actually going to hear from people who run successful direct care practices and learn directly from them, including myself. So just for a short time, I am reopening my course, which will be the last time I open this course this year, which includes the membership. So do take advantage of that. And actually today, Tuesday, November 5th, is the last day to take advantage of the low price of $297 a month. Once the door closes, I have to focus on the current members until they reopen again sometime next year. So there you have it, Business Basics 101, the framework that I will be helping you develop to help you get from where you're currently at to the next stage in your direct care practice. I look forward to chatting with you. I'll catch you next week. Take care.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a review and share it with a friend so more doctors can learn about direct care. Let's keep the conversation going on LinkedIn so we can help more doctors escape insurance and thrive in private practice. Thanks for listening. I'll talk with you next time. Take care.